Shall we remind ourselves, when it comes to the House of Lords, the previous thoughts of our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer? Take a listen.
Labour will rebuild trust by reforming the centre of government, cleaning up sleaze, nourishing the relationship between central government and the devolved authorities, and replacing the unelected House of Lords with a new, smaller, democratically elected second chamber. Not only less expensive, but also representing the regions and nations of the United Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? Let's listen to what he also had to say about the Tories. Listen.
Honour should be for public service, not Tory cronies. Yeah! But, Mr. Speaker, isn't this the case? He was too weak to block Johnson's list. And that also means that those who spent their time helping cover up Johnson's law-breaking are rewarded by becoming lawmakers for the rest of their lives.
Abolish, reform, I like it. You had me there, Keir Starmer, but hold on a second, because what have you actually done? Did you see this news? Not 1, not 2, not 10, not 20, but 25 nominations, new Labour peers into the House of Lords. What on earth is going on? Keir Starmer is being called a massive hypocrite, is he?
Well, I'm going to shock GB News viewers now, because since the inception of the Labour Party wanting more democracy in the UK and to deliver a fairer system, it once printed posters saying they were going to smash down the House of Lords and smash through. And we're here just over 100 years later, and there is still a deep desire within the Labour Party to have more fairness and democracy in society. However, the fact is, at the minute, the House of Lords performs quite an important role within our legislature, which is to scrutinise legislation, and arguably it can scrutinise to a greater extent than what MPs often have the capability to do, and that is what's happening. So it's pretty much tradition that all governments appoint members of the House of Lords, and it's normally broadly in proportion to how many people they have in the House of Commons, and that's the same for the rest of the parties. Pretty proportionate, pretty fair, and that's what's happened here, essentially. Now, I think when the Prime Minister was referring to cronyism previously, when he was Leader of the Opposition, I think he was referring to certain members of the House of Lords that had been appointed by the Conservatives where there were concerns that had links to, reputedly had links to, foreign intelligence agencies that previously been citizens of other countries.
But don't you see it looks bad? When you stand there before you get elected and you go, you see this massive expanding second chamber, we're going to reform it, we're going to do away with it. People like the cut of the jib, they vote for him on that basis, and you get elected, and then you literally do the exact opposite. Don't you see why people might have an issue with that?
I think it's about the lens that you look through. The fact is,
I look through the lens of truth and honesty and what someone tells me they're going to do.
Well, at the minute, there's a fairness priority list, I would say, and at the moment the system is as it is stands, and there is a requirement to scrutinise legislation. So, in order to keep proportionality across the House of Lords, all parties have just done exactly the same as they normally have done.
Well, there you go. You've heard it directly. When someone tells you they're going to do something directly, and they even go as far as writing some of it in the manifesto, depends what lens you look at it through. Nigel Farage, he's not happy today. Let me take a listen to him before I bring Laila in.
So Sir Keir Starmer, always critical of the House of Lords, and in particular the number of peers being put in by previous Tory governments, has now decided to put 25 of his own cronies in the House of Lords, and add to that a handful of Lib Dems and quite a few Tories as well. And you now realise that every party in British politics has representation in the House of Lords, apart from one, and that's the one that has led the opinion polls for the last 150 polls in the row. Do you know what the name is? I'll tell you. It's called Reform UK.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money, and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Save up to 73% on annual plans today. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
And one of their councillors, Laila Cunningham, happens to be sitting next to me. What do you think?
Well, he promised reform. It's more like a hostile takeover. 25 in one go. And then cronyism actually means favouring your cronies. Which is what he's clearly done. It's 25 Labour peers in one go. 9 of them are current or former aides, and they're not particularly successful in life. The whole point, like you say, of the House of Lords is to restrain government, to prevent it from overreaching, to prevent it from passing useless legislation. But it appears that Labour and the Conservatives have used it to control government. So they're putting their cronies in to vote things through, stuffing it with cronies, so nothing. There's no opposition.
But all their amendments always have to be voted on democratically by the House of Commons.
Listen,
so they can't force anything.
No, but they can delay for a very long time, which can cause a lot of problems on the ground. But listen, Lords is supposed to be about representation, is it not? If it is, then reform should definitely get some seats. Why not? The Lib Dems got seats. We're polling higher than the Lib Dems. We're polling higher than the Conservatives and Labour sometimes added together. But we're not getting any seats, and that really tells you everything.
Well, that comes back to what it says about the proportionality, which links to tradition, which is we have an established system that always does it retrospectively based on that. So obviously, if Reform had more seats in Parliament, they would then retrospectively get to have peers. But you do have a peer now.
No, he has to resign his seat. But the thing is, it's at the Prime Minister's discretion, right? It's not about any kind of rule or regulation. And what I see, it's basically an unelected class that he's picked to entrench themselves in our legislation forever. You know what I want to see, Michelle? Because Lords legislate forever for us, I'd like it to be on TV. I'd like it to be like Big Brother. We get people who want to stand in the House of Lords and the public get to vote for who they want. Why shouldn't the public have a say in these people that are going to legislate for us?
You can watch the House of Lords on
I don't want to watch it. I want to select who's legislating for life.
The big question is, and you raise a very good point, because I do want to see reform in this sense. I think many people want to see more democracy. But the big question is, well, what are we going to put in its place? And at the moment, I don't think you or I have a direct answer, and
what I'm saying is, it's not about right now. If we're just talking about the House of Lords as it is, the House of Lords is meant to be experts, because as we know, MPs are not experts in their field, and they write legislation. And the House of Lords there is to look it over and to ensure that is credible legislation that will actually work. It's not what we have now. We have cronies from both parties. It's basically either a consolation prize or a thank you gift for supporting me.
I don't agree with that wholly, because I think there is a lot of expertise in the House of Lords that actually have
not
a lot
the ones
more
appointed
time.
by not the 25 appointed now.
There's a huge cohort in the House of Lords, and there are some real deep experts in certain fields and from parts of our society that really do give a good insight into what legislation means in practice and feedback to elected politicians. But as I say, I keep coming back to, at the moment, we have no oven-ready replacement.
I'm not saying to replace it. I'm saying that those that get put through to the House of Lords have to have a reason to be there, and it shouldn't just be to prop up a dying government, which is basically what Starmer's done.
I don't think they can prop it up because they have no vote in the House of Commons.
Of course, they can speed things through to the House in the House of Lords so it comes back to the Commons. That's effectively why it's done. Why would he? Why would someone who stood on a manifesto of reforming the House of Lords, almost abolishing it, put through? Hang on, how many has he put through in the 18 months he's been in government? Is it 62?
But
that is not reform. That is a takeover.
All parties have put that proportionally through.
But all parties didn't campaign at the election to reform it or get rid of it. That's the difference. And like Michelle said, it was disingenuous. It was actually dishonest.
But this is about what you and I are talking about in deep politics. When we think about people's priorities every day, there's a finite amount of time, finite amount of hours in the day.
No, in your manifesto, you didn't say, look, we're going to have this reform, but it's going to be priority number 2079, and we're probably not going to get to it. When you start as a party loudly saying to people, this is our policy, we're going to reform this, we're going to look at abolishing this, we're going to have an elected second house, people are well within their rights to expect you to do that once you get that power.
But
and now
we also have to...
it's all about the priorities.
Of course, yeah, priorities really do matter, because at the end of the day, we're going to be judged on what we've delivered. And if we were to set the wrong priorities, people would rightly judge us on that. So at the moment, because there is, as we've been talking about here, parliamentary time in terms of priorities and passing laws, there is so many hours in the day, and it's like everybody out there at work today.
What Michelle and I are saying, why was reform and abolishing the House of Lords in your manifesto, and you're doing the complete opposite? And why he's trying to put through legislation that is not in the manifesto, the digital ID, that was not in the manifesto. They've earmarked 1.8 billion for it. Basically, Labour came and won on a promise, and they're doing the complete opposite.
We are 17 months into what could be a 5-year term.
Hopefully
there or thereabouts. We'll see it. But we're 17 months into a 5-year term with already quite a significant amount of delivery on certain aspects. The appointment, just let me finish. The appointment of these lords, which is normal, proportional, pretty run-of-the-mill practice, actually doesn't mean that we are not going to carry out that manifesto commitment.
Stuart, you keep saying
but hold on, it just means it hasn't happened yet.
You keep saying it's run-of-the-mill, but it's not when you promise that's what we're trying to...
I don't believe there was any commitment to say we won't continue to maintain the system as it is until we have a replacement.
Starmer literally said he's going to reform it. What is the reform?
Well, hereditary peers now, so there's a lot less...
Yeah, because none of them were... You've basically just taken it over. He's stuffing as many as he can.
Did you know the Conservatives still have more peers in the House of Lords?
Yeah, and I'm sure... And listen, you're playing catch-up.
There's a lot more... There's a lot of catch-up to do.
So it's not about reform. It's about gaining more power. And he should have just said that from the beginning. Fine, we would have all accepted it. It's
more representation in the House of Lords doesn't give you more power.
Yeah, but hang on, because one of my viewers has made the point as well. All this representation, he's saying, Michelle, most of these people are from London and the South East. He's saying, where's the representation for places like Wales, the North, and all the rest of it? Where is that representation?
I think that is a fair point to make. I don't know about the criteria that is applied for the selection in terms of where they're from, their background.
He's appointed people from the machine. He's appointed aides, people from the inner circle and people from Westminster. That is not representative.
I mean, I've heard this applied to all sides of the political spectrum previously.
You know, and the fact that he doesn't want to give reform anyone, for me, it's the establishment closing ranks to protect itself as usual, but not listening to the people on the ground.
If reform can win some more seats, they may have that.
Well, we can't win more seats before the election. I mean,
well, but also, I've got to pipe in. I've got to go to a break, but I can tell you now, people will be shouting at their screens when you say, well, if reform can win some more seats and all the rest of it. Many people will feel that you're absolutely running scared of reform, and that's why you keep doing things like cancelling local elections and things like that. Many people have got in touch with me. They live in some of these local areas where these local elections have been scrapped by you guys, so they would say they'd love the opportunity to actually give more representation to other parties in the system. I can hear you. Don't worry about that. Get your phones out as well. I'm sure you've been doing that as we've been talking, because I were asking you on our You Decide poll whether or not you think the House of Lords should ultimately be abolished. Yes or no? You convert in all of the ways that you already know how.